guys, this is a layout that I'm going to do featuring some pictures from New York City of my sister and I. And I just showed you a couple of things that I picked up in New York City for scrapbooking, and I didn't end up using any of them, so I'll tell you what I used when I go to use it. I have that map paper, which is just a pamphlet I brought home from it was in, like, the concierge had it at the hotel we were at. And so I just cut a piece of that, and I'm just randomly cutting my papers into different sizes. And this layout was inspired by the Pop Off the Page class at Studio Calico. And in the fourth lesson, they talk about using like a collage method for putting down paper as the base of your scrapbooking layout. And so that's what I was trying to do here. And I actually don't love how this layout turned out, but you know, it's whatever, it's done. So I'm just kind of trying to, I'm happy with it at this point. Like, I actually like the collage part of it. I just didn't like the overall way that it turned out. But um, so those papers there are all from the Studio Calico Central High kit. And so that striped paper with all the colors is from Tim and Beck. The green paper is from Basic Gray Clippings, and it's the same as that dark colored one with the stitches on it. It's just the back side of it. So they're both from Basic Gray Clippings. And the reddish colored dotted one, that one that I'm putting down right now with the chevrons, is Indie Chic Collection from My Mind's Eye. Then that, of course, is the map paper. Another piece of the Tim and Beck, and then that red piece is the American Craft Shoreline collection. And of course, there's that clippings paper from Basic Gray and another strip from the back side of that one. Or it's actually the A side of that one. So there's my collage, and I actually like how that turned out. So yeah. So now I'm just taking I printed my photos in 2.5 by 3.5 onto a 4 by 6 piece of paper using my home printer. I have an Epson PictureMate charm. And then I just put them beside each other to make a grid. And I experimented with whether I was going to put it on the left side or the right side, and I ended up going with the right side. So that's about how I want it to be. And this is just a different look for me. And then I kind of switched the photos around. It ended up good that I switched them because they're in a better order for putting the dates. But my main reason for ordering them the way that I did is that photo in the bottom left-hand corner has a lot of orange and red in it, and I wanted it farther away from the red piece of shoreline paper there. So that craft envelope that you saw for a second there was from New York, from my travels. And now I'm just going to be stamping those date stamps. That's dry sand ink from Prima. It's chalk ink, fluid chalk ink, and I love working with those Prima inks. And they're so tiny, they're easy to store, and they don't take up a whole lot of space. So I'm just going to stamp a tab for each of the days that the photos were taken on. Then I'm going to cut them out. And I just stamped those on a piece of scrap paper from the Heyday collection. There you go, so you can see a little bit closer. I love, love, love those stamps. So getting to use 4 of them on one layout is fun. So now I'm going to figure out where I want to put those date stamps. And sorry that you can't see everything that's happening here. It makes it hard to narrate too. I'm like, what am I talking about? Yeah, so I'm just, I am attaching those date tabs with my tiny attacher. Then I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to put in that envelope. And it turns out that that card from the Pop Off the Page class really fits perfectly in that little envelope that I got from, it wasn't even a scrapbooking store, it was just a store. It was a Japanese store in New York. So then I'm just using that ribbon to decorate the card with. That's ribbon that came in the Central High kit, the Studio Calico kit. And then I just put a piece of blue grid washi tape on there just to decorate it up to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm going to fill most of that card with journaling, and then I plan to put a date stamp down where the notes section goes. And so here you're not going to see much of what I'm doing. I don't know exactly what I'm doing because I can't remember. Um, but yeah, sorry, I forgot to zoom out the camera and oh, that's what I was doing. I was picking a stamp. And now, so I decided to put this number stamp and use it as a layering element. And I really like how the element turned out, but I ended up covering it up because it didn't work with how I did my title. But I think that this is a good idea, and I'm going to do this for another layout at some point. So I just cut it out of vellum, and then I'm going to round the corners with my corner chomper with the 1/2 inch part of my corner chomper. And I really like that as an element. It's just where I ended up putting the title, it was competing too much, so I ended up having to cover it up. So of course it's too long for layering, so I do end up cutting it in half before I actually stick it in. And here I am putting that blue shipping tag. What happened was I needed something to go in between the craft color of that ink on the tabs and the craft color of the envelope because they were blending in too much. So I grabbed that blue shipping tag from the Pop Off the Page class kit, and I just glued it onto the photo, and then I glued the envelope in place. So that just puts something between those two craft things. Sometimes I'll layer things together, but it just looked weird. Just the shape of the envelope was a little bit distracting, so I just wanted to make that be just a straight line instead. So now I found that that piece of red Shoreline collection paper was just a little bit too uninterrupted, so I wanted to put another layer in there. So that's just a piece of Amy Tangerine paper from the first Amy Tangerine line. And I actually put it in upside down because I wanted the blue strip to be on the bottom. So the writing on that is upside down, but I don't think it really matters. So there I'm finally putting in that number element on the vellum. And I'm kind of liking how this looks right now, but the top right hand corner of the photo there needed something. So I grabbed that chipboard camera from October Afternoon and put that in there. I'm kind of thinking about what other elements. Those are some New York themed stickers that Melissa Shim sent me, but I'm going to save those for, I'm going to have a lot of New York City layouts, so I'm going to save those for another one that's more New York-y. This is not really about New York, it's more about me and my sister who happened to be in New York when these pictures were taken. So I'm going to put that camera down. And then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to put in the lens. And that is a basic gray brad that I had to cut the little things from because I didn't want to poke a hole in the chipboard. And so I just put it on with a glue dot, and it actually says New York in the middle of it. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's from the Basics collection that they had on Crafty Steels a while ago, and I bought a couple of those. So now I'm just kind of thinking about what I'm going to do next, having a look at some of these die cuts, trying to figure out, at this point there are lots of rectangles and I want to soften it up a little bit, so I'm taking some of those pinked circle shapes and some of those tabs and rounded rectangle shapes and sticking them in every here and there. I cut that tag in half so that I could use both the numbered part of it and the tab shape of it. These are all die cuts that came in the Central High kit from Studio Calico. And those giant, those big giant, what are they called? I call them sequins. I don't know if that's what they really are or not. But those are, I find those a lot of fun. So I like those. So I usually cut them in half when I stick them into a layout so that I can get twice as many out of them. And so I'm just sticking that numbered element in place, and then that pink circle out of the chevron paper. And I made the chevron go the other way, like perpendicular to how it would usually go, just for some interest. And then cut the hexagon in half so I could put it in two different places. And I'm just kind of overlapping and offsetting everything a little bit. These are very small elements. I think that's what I don't like about this layout, is that there are large background elements, like the collage part of this. The background is full of really big pieces, and then all of my little interesting layers and stuff are way too tiny. Like, I think it's not in good scale. I think that's the problem with it. I think that's what I don't like. But, I love the pictures, and so, I don't hate the layout, but it's just not, it doesn't quite sit right for me. So because I can't figure out how to do my layering, I'm going to do my title for now, and then I'll come back to the layering. So I just picked out a bunch of options for what I might want to do my title in. I knew I wanted it to be called Shades of NYC. So I just had to find the font that would, make me happy. And I love those Meadow, those black thickers are called Meadow. And love those because they take up a lot of space. And I think that helps with the, as I was just talking about, the scale of the layout. So the fact that those letters are really big, I think really helps. And so then I was thinking about trying to figure out how I was going to put the title on, and I would really like to do this right here, have Shades be on the top and then of NYC be on the bottom. But this is such a busy layout that I really didn't want to do that, because I felt like the second part of the title would get lost. So I decided to keep it together because I didn't want you to get lost. So I'm putting the thickers down now, and what I forgot to do was put my washi tape underneath. So I like to anchor my titles with something, either a strip of paper or a journaling piece or something, and washi tape is really good for that, but I forgot to put it down. So here my title is kind of floating up above. See how it's floating on the map paper? So I'm going to go back and add some washi tape. I don't know if I do that now or if I do it in a little while. Yeah, I don't quite know what I'm doing right now. Maybe I'm getting washi tape. Oh yes, so here I'm deciding that I don't like those numbers, as I told you I would. And so I'm going to cut a piece. This is a piece of basic gray clippings paper. I cut it to exactly the same size as the vellum was, and then I just tore out those layers and put that paper right over top of the stamped element. And so it just looks like one more layered element. And so now I'm trying to stick that washi tape in under the chipboard piece and putting more little bits of washi tape in the places that show. And then I decided to move where I put that speech bubble, so it lined up a bit more with that blue sequin that it's under. And then I just grabbed another piece of washi tape just to kind of carry that to another place on the layout. Love, love, love that pinked circle with the arrows on it. That's one of my favorite shapes in the kit this month, so I wanted to get that on the page. And yeah, so there's my journaling, and then I'm going to use my Dear Lizzie roller stamp. And which one did I use? It says You and Me. That's the one I used. And I just did each of the 4 consecutive days that we were in New York and took pictures of ourselves together. That is a silhouette cut that was left over from another project. It's from the Pop Off the Page kit. And now I'm just kind of trying to decide what else I might want to add. And so I'm just inking up that stamp, which is the chevron stamp that came with the Pop Off the Page kit. Inked it up with some London Fog Memento ink, my favorite gray. And then that's another leftover silhouette cut, the hexagon, the skeleton hexagon or something like that. And I love that shape. It's great for layering. I've used that one a lot. I printed up a whole 12 by 12 page of it, and I've used it in a couple of different layouts and a couple of cards and stuff. So that's a good one to have on hand. especially in something like a nice neutral cardstock like Craft. So now I'm showing you the close-up because I think I'm done, but I'm actually not done. I am going to add a few more things here. Those are Studio Calico wood veneers. They're stars that I'm just putting over here and there, and I'm using them plain. I'm just attaching them with glossy accents and waiting for them to dry. Then I'm putting, I thought about putting a brad there, but then I decided to put that arrow clip that came in the pop off the page kit. I also already had some of those. And so now here I am done, so I'm going to show you the final product, which, you know, there's that pull-out tab, that pull-out journaling tag, which I really love. I love doing pull-out tags, and I really like how the clusters look individually. I think it's just overall the layout doesn't jive, or it doesn't kind of meld together. But I do like how all of the elements turned out. I like how the title turned out in particular, and I love that I got to use that New York City brad. And I just love all the bright colors because these, you know, we had different outfits on in each of the pictures, and so just kind of a mishmash of colors really worked, I think, for this layout. So thanks for watching, guys. There'll be some pictures coming up next so you can see some of the close-ups. Thanks a lot.